Hey guys, welcome to the special marathon training series on the Mike White podcast. Clark and I are planning to run a marathon at the end of 2023, so we'll be getting together every week on the podcast, discussing how our training's going and what the path is moving forward. Hope you all enjoy. All right, welcome to the Mike White podcast. This is our second episode in the marathon training series, so week one is complete, and I've got Clark Blunt on the line. How's it going, Clark?
Hey, MJ, it's going well.
So last week, the training was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 30-minute kind of zone 2 conversational pace run, and then an optional run on the weekend, 60 minutes. How'd your runs go?
I really enjoyed it. I really took it really easy. I think runs like that are kind of what make running worth it. I mean, I just really took it easy. Tried to find a pace that I could have fun at. I ran with my brother, and so we just kind of had a good time, talked, ran and looked around. And so we had fun with 30-minute runs. And then for the 60-minute run, I went out to one of the trails around Maryland and just ran that. And I mean, just took it real easy, you know.
What kind
I
of
stopped.
miles? Uh,
Oh, go ahead.
what kind of miles did you put in? Like, what was your
I, you
pace?
know, I wasn't tracking anything. I was just out having fun.
Really?
I was probably running around 8-minute pace, just based off of feel, but I didn't want to worry about that. Hardly even worried about time. I just I wanted to go out and run right around 30 minutes, and then I got back and just wanted to make sure that I found a place where I was enjoying running. And so I think one of the biggest things that can demotivate you is making running just this thing that you have to do. And so I kind of wanted to make sure that I was starting off uh, doing it and having fun with it. So I know I've ran a lot in the past and really focused on time and what it needs to be. So for these first couple of weeks, what I wanted to do is just make sure that I was out there just getting back to it, you know, and just going based off of how my body felt.
So first off, I'll let the listeners remind them. So your goal is to qualify for the Boston by next year, end of next year,
Hmm.
and that would require, you said, like a 2 hour, 15-minute time, something like that.
Yeah, yep, that's right.
Okay. And um, right now, the plan is hopefully do the New York City Marathon, but we got to do the lottery. And if that falls through, uh, you're planning on doing the Chicago one, and then I'm going to do the Dallas one. And
Yeah.
so we still got quite a bit of weeks left before we need to be in marathon shape. So this is just week one only. Um, so when you're running, you're in Baltimore. Is it all in? I guess in the streets, was it all just concrete, or did the trail also have like any grass, or was it concrete the whole time?
So my 30-minute runs were real easy. I live in Baltimore, and so I ran over to Fort McHenry, uh, where the Star Spangled Banner was written. And so I ran down there, you know, just had a good time, all concrete there. And then in the morning, I just kind of ran around uh, the park I've got by my house, all concrete again.
You
And then,
you got to let out the Star Spangled Banner when you run by there, right? That's just it's a mandatory thing, I would imagine.
of, of course,
So
I actually tend to bother the fishermen whenever I run by.
you just yell at them.
Yeah, I
Just
just say,
America.
hey, yeah, absolutely. That's how it should be, I think.
But I was wondering because I know in cross country we would always run on the grass. And
Mhm.
do you think there's a big difference? I mean, it seems like it would be a little better for your joints, but when we run the marathon, it's gonna be concrete. It's gonna be on the street. So is there even any benefit of, if there are patches of grass, going ahead and running on those, or what do you think?
Um, I've always I've always believed that running on the grass certainly makes you tougher. It's definitely harder to run on it. One thing that I've preferred to avoid is going grass to concrete and alternating back and forth throughout a long period.
Okay.
I think it wears you down, and I think it's also kind of hard to adjust. But one of the most important things that you can do is make sure that your form is right. And so I actually me and my brother were running, and I was talking to him. I said one of my biggest things that I have to be aware of is when it's real cold out, I tend to keep my stride really short, whenever I'm starting off up until I warm up. And so I would chop and alter my stride to where it should be. And so it's something that I'd have to be conscious of because I'd slip right back into it. So I think there's a lot of benefit to running on grass where you're not gonna, it's less impact because the concrete it's hard, right? But if you're wearing the right shoes and you got the right form, uh, you'll be all right, right?
And when you say
But
right form, I mean not coming down on your heel, right? Because that's where people get hurt. Is heel striking.
I actually heel strike, and I wouldn't say, I've definitely heard that running on the balls of your feet are the best ways to run, because your legs are basically springs, and so by running on the balls of your feet, you're able to kind of optimize the your ability to utilize that spring itself. But I think I don't know that the science is all the way in just yet. So I know a lot of people run on the balls of their feet, and I also know a lot of people that heel strike as well. I think it'd be beneficial if you went to running on the balls of your feet, but that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and that's something that you'd have to be really conscious of. I mean, you'd have to start off so slow. So I think maybe I know I do this to you a lot, but I think there's benefits to both. So not a real clear answer for you right there. It's tough to transition from running from a heel strike to running on the balls of your feet.
Yeah, I'm just going off of a college elective course I did freshman year. It was um, some physical activity course, and we had to read the Born to Run book. I think it's McDougall, and it's
Hmm.
where they study the Mexican tribe that runs pretty
Hmm.
much barefoot. They have like little sandals, and they just have crazy endurance. And in that class, they had some studies, but who knows? It's only a select few studies, and they attributed knee pain and knee stress to heel striking. But that's the only thing I've seen.
Yeah, and I think as shoes continue to advance, I think it becomes less of a problem. But I absolutely there's so many things. You know, one of the biggest things that you can do is try to focus on your form. So if any of your listeners were trying to join us and they wanted to transition to running on the balls of their feet, and they're joining us like right now would be the time to do it. Whenever you're going real slow, and I mean you'd have to start off real slow and make sure that you're not messing up something else because your muscles aren't going to be used to running on the balls of your feet.
It's going to put a lot of stress on your calves. Your calves are going to burn, and that
Hmm.
whole even the fort. What do you call the fort? Your shin, like the muscles in your
Yeah.
shin, like those definitely can feel it there. But you're talking about is being cold. So this last week I was spoiled, and it's like in the 70s here in Austin. Are you guys? Is it pretty chilly out there in Baltimore?
Yeah, we were sitting around, I don't know, 35 degrees for the most
Jesus.
part.
Oh,
And
yeah. It's
so
so. What do you do? What do you do to prep for running? You wear jacket, sweats? None of that. How do you outdoor run in the cold?
um I at 35 I was wearing shorts and a light long sleeve quarter zip. And so I typically warm up. My legs never really get very cold, and so I'm typically pretty fine there. But I know as it continues to get colder, and it will be, Um, I know I'll end up wearing a beanie and some gloves, and progressively I'll put on a couple more jackets. But I typically try to keep my legs pretty freed up, because I think restriction of motion down there is kind of dampers the run, and I feel like I'm not getting as much out of it as I can.
Yeah, you got enough blood flowing down there, keeping your legs warm. I imagine I don't think you're doing any damage. The hands are what get me. Like even if it get
Absolutely.
at 35, I would definitely be wearing gloves. I don't know if that makes me weak or not, but that's a little chilly.
Yeah, I definitely had them in my sleeves. My brother Carter, he had gloves on. In fact, we even stopped at a store to get some. I think I I wasn't wearing gloves at all this week, but it's getting to the point where it's getting close.
Yeah, no shame. There's you lose all mobility in your hands. Like you'll come back and you have to defrost before you can do anything. So I think it's
Absolutely.
worth it. The other thing I was gonna,
Yeah,
or go ahead.
yeah, I would say probably that's a real killjoy if your hands get real cold. So I agree with you there.
I remember it brings me back to high school sports and trying to get in the locker after a
Oh
morning
yeah.
workout that was cold and I couldn't do my combo lock. I'd just be stuck there. I had to like defrost my hands under the sink before I could get into my locker.
Oh wow. You're tougher than me. I think putting my hands under warm water when my hands are that cold still it hurts even worse.
That's true. That's true. The other thing, so you're not doing any stats. Are you eventually going to do like measure your heart rate, or um, is that going to be waiting until we get in more of the speed work? Like any of these long runs, you don't really care, other than if you're doing it for time, you're just going to measure the time and that's it.
Yeah, whenever I start getting into it, whenever I was running my hour today, and it was again real casual. It was on out on that trail, and so I was kind of paying a little bit more attention to it, and so I know right now I'm trying to have fun with it, but I know as progressively start to get into it, one of the major things I'm going to be paying attention to is how consistently am I running my pace, right? What does a certain pace feel like? So I can control that, and controlling your pace is probably going to be the most important thing. And I think not necessarily during the exercise, but afterwards, I think one of the most important things is monitoring and what was my heart rate doing and what did it feel like at that point during the run. So
Yes.
I've got a Garmin Forerunner, and I can look at that afterwards, and so that makes life a lot easier.
Does your Garmin give you your heart rate as well, and do you think it's pretty accurate?
Um, I would say so. It's really good. It takes my heart rate, takes my cadence, takes my pace as well as what sort of elevation change, and so it's pretty accurate. I mean, it's even good whenever I was running up and training up in the mountains. So I would say it's probably one of the more reliable things that I use on a daily basis when I'm running.
Yeah, I might need to check that out. I got a Apple Watch that I've been using, and I love it because I like listening to music, and it's super easy with the AirPods, and you have you don't even need your phone. But my heart rate, I don't know if it's accurate or not. I'm thinking about getting one of the Polar ones that you put on your chest. Those are supposed to be pretty good and
Yeah.
fairly inexpensive. Because I was doing, I felt slow. I did 9:30 pace the first two runs, and then my last run was a 10:30 pace, and all those runs, my average heart rate was 170, which I was kind of shooting for like 155, 160. So I don't know. I don't know if that seems high to you, but it seemed kind of high to me.
Um, yeah, 175. I don't know. I would feel like that might be right around a little bit more intense of a workout, but I wouldn't say it's ridiculous. I'd say really high would be up at 200, and I'd say that's probably whenever you're really going hard at something, like if you really were trying to go anaerobic. But 175, well, it might be a little bit high for just like a 30-minute easy run. I wouldn't be too concerned about it.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'm going home for Christmas, and my dad has one of those chest strap heart rate monitors, so I'll do some runs with that and compare, just to verify before I make the move on like a new watch. But
Yeah.
I only did the 3 runs this week because I felt good, but my calf, that kind of knee back of my knee calf area, still had kind of a twinge in it. Just didn't feel right. So um, I didn't want to push it with the 60 minute just yet. And now I'm feeling pretty good. I did a lot of stretching. I did yoga this week, which I never do yoga, but that was good. So I think I'm about near 100%. And
That's good.
the last thing we didn't talk about is, so you're also saying you wanted to start eating well to train. Have was your diet good, or what have you been eating?
I would say I'm still at that very relaxed part of my training regimen. Uh, I think, but I've transitioned a little bit. I know you don't approve of this, but a lot more healthy carbs based, and then pretty simple proteins and so.
Yeah, it's a
But
oxymoron there. Healthy carbs.
yeah, yeah, whatever. We'll we'll continue to agree to disagree on that one, but that's fine. Um, But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I kind of got another buddy that I work with. We used to lift and work out together. He's kind of on board with meal prepping, and so, kind of getting that community around you makes it a little bit easier.
Oh, definitely. And prepping is huge because that's where you get yourself in trouble when you're in a pinch and you have to go for the fast option. But that's like what I did this last week is just hard boil a bunch of eggs, and I was crushing eggs. I probably have like 6 eggs a day, and I should get those ketosis strips where you pee on them or you prick yourself or something. But I'm pretty sure I'm in ketosis. I'm not going to get them because it's not worth it because I don't really care. But it's crazy. I've lost like 8 pounds in a week just by cutting out like I haven't restricted myself at all, but just I was eating like a pig over Thanksgiving, and now I'm just losing weight. I'm not trying. I mean, I'm kind of trying to. I feel like the Navy made me a little heavivier, but I don't think this pace will continue. But that's not a goal. That's beside the fact. It's just really focusing on running, and so it's been good. Um, and then okay, so we went over our week one, and anything else from week one you wanted to document?
No, really, I think we're both probably doing the same thing. Uh, week one, and I think we're probably going to talk about week two right after this. Is week one was focused on, what, just go out there and get it done. Week two is going to be a lot of the same, just getting your body ready to ramp up again. And so, if you're ready to talk about week two is pretty much the exact same. You got Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 30-minute runs, real conversational pace. Go out there, have fun. Get Make sure that you're focused on what you're doing, and but still not pushing yourself too hard. And then I think this Sunday is going to be more of a go ahead and get that hour run. Not hard, definitely. If you want to take breaks, go ahead and take breaks. If you want to walk, that's fine too. But at this point, you got to start focusing on your long runs. And so getting your body ready to run for around an hour is going to be a test, but at least getting your body moving for that time, I think that's going to be important. So week two is a lot like week one, but a little bit more structured.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I would. So, what do you think? I loved how Coach Littlefield, our high school cross country coach, on our long runs, she didn't care how slow we went, but she wanted us to run. So always have one foot off the ground. And I think any new runner, that should be their goal is don't, because a lot of runners, they don't know how to pace themselves. Like if you just start running and you feel like you're going slow, you're not going slow enough. Like you're still going too fast, and they wear out real quickly, and then they have to stop, and then it's on and off, on and off. Where if you almost run slower than a normal walking pace, but I think that is preferred over the starting or stopping. Are you still think starting and stopping's fine, or have you think it's better just to go as slow as you can?
Oh, so I am in the field. I don't think that I don't think that I've ever walked in a workout in my entire life. So like a true workout, if I was doing a recovery run, I mean, like if I had to stop and use the restroom, I'd stop and use the restroom, or I'd stop at a stoplight. But I don't think that I've ever been so tired that I just walked in a workout. So I would definitely say walking is going to be your worst enemy, because whenever we're starting to get into it, if you in your mind said to yourself, I can't go another step without walking, you're already defeated. And so getting that out of your head is going to be the most important thing. So if
Yeah,
I do I'm out there with my dog on the trails, and so I like might stop and take a picture of him. But if I'm running, I'm running. It's not really there for a walk. But
yeah,
I like if your listeners were listening right now, an hour might be a long time just going because I'm basically doing couch to marathon, right?
hmm
An hour might be a long time. So maybe walking at this point is reasonable. But as we continue to go on, I am 100% with you. Walking is going to be the last thing that you want to do because your heart rate's going to drop. If you start up running again, your heart rate then has to spike again, and then it's going to have to level out. And so, just like what you were talking about, you want to have that level heart rate throughout your entire run. And so by doing that, I mean, that's the most damage that you can do to yourself. So if you can focus on just getting those legs up and continuing to move, that's the best thing that you can do,
yeah.
without a question.
I think you're being too nice. I think you don't even make walking an option unless you have to, like you said, the bathroom. If you get hurt or something like that. But if you can walk for an hour, you can do a run where you're hopping pretty much like at that pace, and you could run for an hour if you can walk. You gotta figure out that you can run slow. So I think people just need to slow down and then slow down some more if they're having trouble doing the whole hour.
Absolutely. And that's gonna come with figuring out what your pace is. And so I think that's what this is for is so we gotta be focused on what what is an hour gonna look like, or what is 30 minutes look like? What can I do to hold that pace so that my body isn't fatigued to the point where it's exhausted at the end of it. So this is us finding our legs. Yeah, and I agree with you. Walking is going to be the biggest enemy. So completely agree with that.
All right, Clark. Oh, I was going to tell you, I got an advantage out here. I found the apartment pool, and it's getting a little cold. It wasn't cold this week, but next week it's going to get a little chilly. So I'll be able to do some cold plungers. Maybe recover a little faster. Hopefully, who knows?
I'm jealous.
It's t-
I'm not hopping in the inner harbor out here, so I think I guess you're doing that one alone. So good for you.
well, I don't have to worry about like dead people float. There's probably I can imagine in Baltimore what's in that harbor. Gosh.
Oh yeah, it's rough. Well, I'll say just because I don't want to hate on Baltimore. Any sort of harbor like that's gonna it's just a cesspool because all it does is it takes in water. It doesn't ever go back out.
No, that's you don't want to drink any of you don't want to get in that at all. Even the river here in Austin would be I wouldn't want to swim in that. I don't know. All right, man. Well, best of luck on week 2 and
Good
I
luck,
guess
MJ. You've got this.
talk to you next week.
Absolutely.
See ya. Thank you for listening to Mike White Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Mike White Pod and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Y'all have a great day.